What's up, everybody? It is Rustbeard, and I've been seeing a lot of people talk about the old world revamp, and there's a lot of people that I've seen discussing how a world revamp is not really the way to go. However, I disagree. Okay, so basically what I mean is, for a world revamp to not be the way to go as far as bringing the old world into a new light, I think people are misunderstanding what a world revamp is. Now, on surface level, yes, it is a graphical update to make things look like they are in the modern age of World of Warcraft. So basically from Warlords of Draenor, maybe the end of Mists of Pandaria on, we've gotten a graphical update to the character models, the NPCs, the creatures, you name it, the world, the trees, everything has been updated into a more modern-esque looking game. And yes, that's one aspect of it. I do think that the game itself, especially with Classic being a thing now, so people can still get their fix of the old game itself, but with the way that we are going as far as the New World Soul Saga and having all this new stuff being funneled into the game, a graphical update's not the only thing that I think is relevant for a world revamp. A world revamp should be so much more than that. I think it should definitely be something that will bring new stories to life. It should have... the old world should have a sense of reason, a sense of purpose, a sense of life, if you will. And I'll tell you what I mean. We live on Earth, right? And let's say I take a vacation up to New York City, and, I go see all the monuments and the big stuff or whatever to go look and see what's going on, maybe try some new restaurants that have just opened and so forth. And, whatever, have a good time. It's a cool vacation, right? Well, 10 years down the line, or whatever, if I have kids or whatever, 20 years down the line, doesn't matter. My point is, in the future, at some point, I want to go back and show my spouse or my kids or whatever that area that I went to. It's not going to be exactly the same. It's not going to be what I had experienced 10, 15, 20 years ago. It's going to be changed because we are in a constant shift. We are always moving, we're always updating things, we're always bringing new things into the fold. There's new people in power, there's new restaurants, there's new sights to see, there's new monuments, there's new buildings, there's new... you name it. The world we live in is ever changing, no matter where we go. Obviously, New York is just an example, and I use New York because it's a city, and of course, cities are generally more rapid-paced changing than, let's say, a Midwestern town, for example. Trust me, I have seen both worlds plenty, alright? That being said, even in smaller towns or smaller cities or whatever, like Des Moines in Iowa, for example. Iowa, I lived in for quite a few years, and I can tell you firsthand that it is a very slow state. It's very slow. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't change. There's a lot of things that kind of stay the same, and it makes it a little bit less relevant to the world around it. However, there are still things that change. You know what I mean? For example, me and my buddies, we'd like to go up to a place called JCD and Hobby in Des Moines. Love it. It's one of my favorite stores on the earth. Bunch of nerd stuff and whatnot. And back when I first went, we only went to the one that they had. I think there might have been two, but the other one was pretty small, so we didn't really frequent that one too much. However, a couple years later, we go back and we find out there's another Jay's that just opened. And it's great. We loved it. We went and checked out that Jay's and so forth. So now every time we go to Des Moines, we try to hit up all of the J's to see what kind of different stuff they have at each one. Now, bringing it into World of Warcraft, the old world doesn't feel like it's alive. It feels like it's stuck in time. There are storylines that have been ended. There are storylines that are still going on well past their due date. There are characters and NPCs that have since died or have aged, or should have aged rather, that just don't. The world is constantly stuck in that era of World of Warcraft. So when I say that the world should have a revamp, yes, I mean graphically, of course, but story-wise as well. There should be no reason why the world that we live in within Azeroth is stuck where it was so many years ago. these zones and these places that we quested through a long time ago, and I was gonna make this video a little bit more specific, in depth, and like kind of hone in what stories could go where and whatnot, and maybe I will do a different video about that, but I wanted this one to be a little bit more general, just across the board. I don't remember a lot of the stories sometimes, you know, there are some bits and pieces that kind of I have flashes about here and there, but I find myself more often than not trying to recall a story from a quest or from a zone that I did when I was younger, and I have not done since, because now I don't really have any reason to. My whole point, the whole content that I'm trying to get to is at endgame, and it's only endgame. Now, granted, they could do something to make the old world relevant again in the form of endgame content, sure. Or, hear me out, better leveling zones that are more evergreen. I do really love the fact that they were talking about evergreen content quite a bit at BlizzCon. I really love that. I love the fact that they're kind of focusing on that a little bit more than they have in the past. But your main world, Azeroth, the main continents, those should feel like they are living. You know, those should feel like they are in a constant change, in a constant state of life that just feels like it's coming alive around you. It's such a massive world. It's such a big world. There's so much to do. There's so many things to see. There's so much stuff to collect. And having that old world, Kalimdor, Eastern Kingdoms, Northrend, Pandaria, you name it, those older zones, Outlands, for example, all of those could very well be places that people would love to go back and experience in a new light, I think. I think that people would love to level their characters. I think people would take their time leveling their characters because they would want to go through the zones a little bit more meticulously. Whereas somebody like myself, who has been playing since I was like 9 years old, I don't really have any desire, for the most part, unless I'm playing Classic or something like that, where it is just kind of a slower paced gameplay anyway. I don't have any desire to go back and play these old zones anymore, or even when I am leveling a new character for whatever reason. I don't. I'll blast through zones as fast as possible, and I'll start out with the mindset that I'm going to take my time and look through these zones a little bit more meticulously. And every now and then I do, I guess. For the most part, I'm probably going to get bored because I've already done it. I already know what's going to happen. I already know these stories, and I will more than likely just dungeon grind until I hit max level. That being said, I feel like there are definitely stories and plots and points of interest within the old world, within the older continents, that people would love to dive back into now. As in, like, the current time frame, the current time period, the time jump after Shadowlands and so forth. Like, that's a lot of time that has passed since a lot of these zones have been brought back to life. It's not so much just like, let's put all the dev team onto making a whole new Kalimdor or graphically updating all of Eastern Kingdoms. I'm not saying that, really, but more so, let's put a little bit more love into the zones that we have instead of focusing so much more on building a whole new continent when we've got so much stuff right here, you know what I mean? Like, I think, especially for veteran players, and maybe new players as well, it would be interesting to see what these stories have evolved into over the course of this time that has passed since we've defeated Garrosh in the Siege of Orgrimmar, and since we have been done with the Jailer in Shadowlands. Like, there's still a lot of time that has been passed since then, and it doesn't look like much has changed whatsoever. That's the world revamp. I want that world revamp. The stuff that's going on in Gilneas, and what's going on with Pandaria, and there's just, I don't know, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that could be implemented to make these things move just a little bit forward, to catch them up with the current time, and I think that is what I mean by having a world revamp. Not just to make everything look pretty. I don't care. I mean, I care, of course. It would be really cool to see that. Having the world feel like you're living in an actual world again, like it did back in that time, because of all of these events happening simultaneously as you're leveling, would be great. And I think that Blizzard could do it. And I'm hoping that with the next couple of updates, especially with the World Soul Saga, that they do. And I have a feeling that they probably will eventually come to that. I think that's what they're kind of building to. So this video isn't so much a, like, Blizzard's let me down, you know, because there's not going to be a massive scale world revamp. I'm not saying that, but because I am looking forward to the World Soul Saga, I'm looking forward to playing it, I'm looking forward to the stories coming out, and it does seem like they are going to be updating zones a little bit more isolated, maybe, until the whole zone, the whole world is kind of revamped in that sense. I keep seeing a lot of people that are like, oh, it's just a waste of time. It's just a waste of devs' time and efforts and money for them to just revamp the whole world into the updated graphics. No, it's not. Not necessarily just the graphics. I guess maybe the graphics might be a waste of time, but if you combine it with the fact that these are zones that should be alive, you know, that should have content within them that is relevant to what we're doing in this age, that wouldn't be a waste of time. You're adding life to your world. You're giving life to the world around you. You're giving life to the player's whole livelihood for being in the world to begin with. And I think that would be very special. I think that would also definitely open the door for player housing. I think that would definitely open the door for a lot of things that Blizzard has been asked about multiple times. And I don't know. Hopefully we'll see it soon. Hopefully we'll see it within the next couple of years. I definitely look forward to it. I'm definitely looking forward to the World Soul Saga as well. But I just wanted to kind of clarify that, because I know a lot of people just think that the graphical update is what people are talking about when they say a world revamp. And maybe that is what some people are saying, but I think I speak for a couple of people at the very least, you know, when I say a world revamp is much more than just making things look pretty again. With that being said, does that sound a little bit more relevant? Is that a little bit more of a step in the right direction for Blizzard to do? Is that something that would be interesting to you if you haven't played in a while? Would you come back to the game to see what events have unfolded in the old world since you've left? I know I would. Even though I haven't technically stopped playing, I just don't play as much as I used to. But I would love to go back and level up a brand new character, take my time, get a feel for the story and the world that I grew up with and how it has changed over the years. I think that would be phenomenal. I think that would be fantastic. I would love to see it. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. I would love to discuss this with you. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and please hit the sub button. It definitely helps out the channel, puts it a little bit further into the algorithm, if you feel me. And with that, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.